Welcome to the Creature Cast, the official Console Creatures podcast. My name is David Petrangelo, and I'll be one of your hosts for this journey into all things video games. Once again, it's my pleasure to say hello to my fellow writers and podcasters. Steve, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well. How are you, buddy?
I'm okay. As we discussed before we hit record, I am in zombie mode. I'm quite tired today, but hey, you know what? Seems to be our story every Wednesday somehow. I don't know what it is about Wednesdays with us. So sorry, everybody, but we're constantly tired.
It's hump day, that's what they call it, right? So
Yeah,
it makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah, gotta get over that. So, Bobby, how about you, man? How are you?
I am. That's all I got. I got nothing.
Oh, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the mic, the little drop.
I am just here. I'm here.
I am Bobby.
I'm in the moment.
I am Bobby.
In the moment, yes, in the moment. There we go.
I am dealing with holiday burnout like we all are because there's just so much
honestly,
happening.
it's ramping up really fast. Our end of year stuff is ramping up really fast too.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna have our game of the year discussion coming up in the next little bit as well. We're gonna choose the console creature game of the year as well. Like, there's gonna be lots to sort of go through here. Holiday gift guides are out there, including the one on console creature. So we have lots of stuff to sort of sift through. But before we do sort of narrow down our game of the year choices, there's some stuff that we've been playing over the last couple of weeks since we've had this discussion as a group. Steve, I want to start with you. What's one of the games you've been playing in the last little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last time we were all together, we were kind of talking about the news that The Witcher 3, the next gen update was on the horizon. Well, now the horizon's here, and I've had the chance to start playing it. As of recording, it's publicly available, so people who have The Witcher 3 can go download the new patch and everything for free. But man, I said it before and I'll say it again. This game is awesome. And I am fully prepared to be spending my entire holiday just investing more time into this game.
All right.
I had the feeling I already, in the previous episodes I talked about, kind of toying with the idea like, okay, now that, we get the 4K textures, improved frame rates and everything, go back in, kind of re-experience this game that I haven't played for years at this point. And as soon as like the opening credits started and you get the opening cinematics and you see Geralt, and I was like, oh man, like I'm getting like little flashbacks of, okay, I remember this moment. And so far I'm about like 5 hours into my replay, and yeah, those little touchstones are just like, kind of like fueling this replay of like, okay, now I'm back at the inn. I remember this kind of like, trying to de-escalate this bar fight and everything. Like, it's just so many great moments just in the beginning of this game that I remember. And yeah, specifically talking about this next gen update, I feel like a lot of it is very, very good. I think much like a lot of these new next gen updates and everything, they do bring if you're going to play it, this is the best kind of version of the game, kind of, archetype. And that's very much true for The Witcher 3. It's a very old game, so it's not going to redefine how the game plays per se. I still like, now all these years removed, I do find that the combat is a little bit jarring. The mechanics of swinging the swords and everything, and bringing up your magic and everything does feel a little bit dated. But the way the game's presented feels so much in tune with, oh, this is a next gen version of the game. I mean, I don't know if you guys can relate to the sentiment, but like a lot of games where I go in and, you get the option for performance mode or fidelity mode, you hit the performance and I don't see a huge decrease in the fidelity, like going down from like 4K to 1080. I'm like, okay, well, it's still very presentable and everything. Witcher is the one where like I can notice it. Like if you have 4K on, it's gorgeous. The lighting effects, the shadow, the contrast, everything about the character models all look very much 4K, like by the books.
What are you playing it on?
So that's the thing. So I was enjoying that for, a couple hours and everything. I was like, I got to check out performance mode and go up to that 60 frames per second. And that is where this next gen update exceeds like all my expectations. The fact that this game is playing at 60 frames, like a solid 60 frames, it's smooth. The only thing is that you can see that that de-escalation of its fidelity. Like it does very look like an older game that way. So yeah, I do feel like now we're at a point where like you are hitting that concession point where it doesn't look as pretty, but it just plays so much better now. So
Right, right. So it's sort of like it's been what? At least I mean, it's been 2 years since the latest generation of consoles came out, right?
right.
And it was weird for about a year and a half, I would say, for us to call it next gen because everything has been cross. And God of
Yeah.
War is a perfect example where it feels like it's a PS5 game, but is it really? Like, there's that sort of discussion that's been going on, and like something like this makes me feel like, okay, we're at that point removed from when this game came out in the previous gen to what it is now, where we're starting to really feel and notice differences, whether it's how smooth things are, whether it's how they look, like all those combinations of things. So maybe it's like, are we like defining the end of 2022 to be like, okay, now it's like everything has to be called next gen if it's out on this?
I think so. And specifically talking about the Witcher 3, I think that it's as close to almost like a remaster without
Yeah.
being a remaster because of how good the game does look in comparison to how it did like 7 years ago.
Okay.
Which I guess is a testament to just CD Projekt Red just providing a free update for the game rather than another Game of the Year edition or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them. Although I will say like that's been kind of the narrative for Witcher 3 ever since day one, where they came out with all this free content and everything. So it's not surprising that they provided this. I mean, it did take quite a while, so I'll give them, I'll say that. But I
Sure.
honestly, I'm impressed. Overall, I am very impressed. I will say though, because I am playing it on Xbox, I can't speak to the haptics and everything for the DualSense. I would be
Right.
very
Right.
interested to hear someone's opinion on how that plays into it, because I feel like, yeah, with the adaptive triggers and everything for swinging the blades and stuff, that would be really cool
Yeah,
if
that'd be
done well.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still haven't explored too much of that with my PS5 because God of War doesn't have a ton of it, which, I think we discussed briefly is totally fine. And is it what's the game that's included? Is it Astrobot? Is that
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
right
the one.
name?
absolutely.
I haven't explored that yet. I just want to get through God of War first, but like I wanna know what that's like. And you know what, if they implemented that into this game, that's interesting. That's something new that they
Yeah.
can definitely bring to the table. So and Steve, you have another game on there that I'm very excited to hear about. I've heard quite a bit about it over the last, I think, week since it's been out, week and a bit.
Right.
Um, tell me about Midnight Suns.
Absolutely, I will. Yeah, I guess this all comes off the heels of the obsession that was and kind of still is Marvel Snap.
Yes.
I couldn't kick the monkey off my back for more Marvel content in my life. So yeah, after a lot of like trepidation and kind of uncertainty of like if I would like this game, I started playing Marvel's Midnight Suns, and the first couple hours, again, like prefacing, I don't like card-based, turn-based games. So right off the bat, wasn't really thinking that I was going to feel this. And also, like, I'm not a big fan of like XCOM games specifically. So putting like all
No,
that,
Steve, no.
I know. So putting all that together, I was like,
Not a-
everything is working against Marvel or Midnight Suns' favor. But I love the Marvel universe. I love Midnight
Yeah,
Suns
sure.
specifically in the comics and everything. So I was like, okay, I gotta at least give it the shot. First 2 hours is like, okay, it's kind of slow, a lot of setup, a lot of tutorials and everything. But as soon as there's a pop-up on the screen that says, and now the tutorial is done. I'm prefacing, like, paraphrasing, but basically
That's
that's
gonna
what
say,
appears.
really? Is that?
Essentially, it's just like the tutorial's done. You can go and explore this like Abbey, which is where you do like all the social events and everything in
Okay.
between missions. And as soon as that moment happened, I was like, I really enjoy this game. Like to the point where
Cool.
like I'm probably I would say like 12 hours in and having an absolute blast. I think it's an easy pop in, pop out kind of game. If you don't have that time commitment, you can go in, spend a couple hours, run a couple missions, do all the social aspects of it. But honestly, the card based mechanics I think is really interesting. Having a going into a battle and having the cards appear on screen, and you can edit the deck for each character, but having them appear on screen, you're supposed to like strategically, okay, I'm gonna pick this one for Ghost Rider, pair that with Iron Man's for the next turn, and then maybe the Hunters.
Sort of like a loadout almost, like, is that's kinda idea or
Well, you're picking each turn. You have 3 cards that you can select,
okay.
and that's basically you. You get three actions for each turn, if that makes sense. So 3 attacks, 3 defensive things,
Okay.
and then it goes on to the enemy side and then vice versa. And again, for someone who doesn't
Okay.
like turn-based mechanics, it flows really rapidly to the point where like it doesn't feel super turn-based, where it's like I attack, now the enemy attacks, and it's this super prolonged like
Yeah.
animation of them like punching me in the face while I'm
Which is
just sitting there
essentially
with
what XCOM is, and a lot of
yeah,
the main I guess crew of people created those couple of XCOM games that have come out, have now moved on to make this. So
exactly. And
that's where the
it
pedigree
feels
comes
a
from
lot
there.
more absolutely. It feels a lot more speedy in that way. So I'm enjoying it for what it is. I know, like reservations aside, I think that it's really meshing well with me, and just the story itself is awesome. The only downside is that it looks like an Xbox 360 game.
Oh no.
Like
No, that's the worst part.
it is honestly the only part where I'm like, man, these characters like. The dialogue's coming, their mouths are hardly moving. They like there's no detail in their costumes or skins. It's just like one.
You know what that reminds me of is because like it's specifically a Marvel game, is I love those Ultimate Alliance games, and that's what those were like. Everyone was
Sure.
very like not that animated, but it was just enough to be like, okay, we're doing this as a crew, we're going in, we're doing the fights and whatever. But then when it came to like talking and story beats, the quote unquote story beats in those games,
Yep.
it was like, okay, I guess that's what Spider-Man's saying, or I guess that's what Tony Stark is saying. Like,
Yep.
like not that you can see Spider-Man's face necessarily, but like those characters where you could see their face,
Yep.
Rogue or whoever else, like Blade, like it was just okay. But that was 12, 15 years ago. So
Yeah, and it is unfortunate because you have so many interesting characters together doing huge like set pieces
yeah,
and all this, and you can customize their outfits too. Like you can like there's one
nice.
awesome Iron Man suit that looks like a Templar Knight kind of thing, but
Ooh,
it just doesn't look all that good. Like it's supposed to be badass on the screen. There was one scene that I just played the other night where Captain America joins the team, and you're up on the Avengers Tower, and he's throwing his shield and it's ricocheting off helicopters, but the helicopters are like so stagnant that they're like just into a building. I was like, oh man, like I honestly wish that this had the visual fidelity and everything that Marvel's Avengers does, because I feel like that would have been the best of both worlds. Bring the combat and everything and the mechanics of Midnight Suns, pair it with the visuals of Marvel's Avengers. That would have been a match made in heaven.
or Guardians of the Galaxy was an awesome
Or
looking
even
game. Like
that,
that game
yeah,
is just flashy as hell. It's such a good
yeah,
looking game.
Or just make a brand new Ultimate Alliance that we all want. Because
Or
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 that,
speaking of
or
Ultimate
that,
Alliance, yes.
just make a new Ultimate Alliance. I'm down with that. The last one
Oh
yeah,
was
my god,
great.
man, those games are amazing.
yeah,
I love those games.
but yeah, yeah. It's
So
I'm
so
surprised
some of the
overall.
characters and those details are not great, but like when action happens, like in the fight, like during those instances, does it look a little bit better, or does it sort of feel like, okay, I'm just doing it because the mechanics of the game are good, or is it actually cool to see these actions happening and play out?
I think the selling points for me right now are the gameplay and the social interactions at the Abbey afterwards. Like in
Okay,
between each mission, you get these like really awesome interactions between Hunter, the like the created character kind of thing, and all these characters. You're building friendships. You're doing little missions for them. You're helping them out. I think those are the real selling points, because even in the battle, like as you're fighting and everything, it doesn't look great, but that's okay
mm.
in my opinion. Like I'm okay stepping away and be like, it looks like a dated game because it is so fun and interesting to me. The story is so interesting to me. So yeah,
All right,
it's just
cool. All right.
unfortunate that it's not like the full package.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. At least you're having fun playing it, and
Exactly.
there's definitely lots of positive to take away, as you've been saying. So that's good.
Absolutely. Yep.
Bobby, you got a couple games on your list. Let's talk about them, because we got a couple reviews up about them as well. Start with everyone, whichever one you want.
Let's start with the. I don't even know. They're both incredible. So let's start with Need for
Ooh,
Speed, because Need for
they're
Speed
both
Unbound.
incredible, Steve. I'm excited.
Yep.
They are. I mean, one is very specific. Actually, they're very specific games, very genre specific. So like
Hmm.
Right.
these are made for specific people. But Need for Speed Unbound is probably the best Need for Speed in like 12 years, and
That's
that's
amazing.
it's been a long time. I was saying this
Yeah.
on PlayStation Drive. It's just incredible what they've done with it. Like Criterion is back. They've reworked their formula. They've created this whole new iteration of Need for Speed Underground that feels like it belongs where in this generation of games. Like it looks incredible. The anime style is not for everybody, but I think it kind of works. Like the cars are very photo realistic, and then you have these anime avatars that are really corny because they talk like characters of people. It's so corny just hearing them talk about like taking selfies with their cars and like racing for slips. And it's cheesy. It's like they even make fun of Fast and Furious, saying, what do you
Yes.
have?" Yeah, they're like, what's the point of having cars if you don't have family? And I'm like, this is just like the kind of stuff I want from Need for Speed, because it's not Forza Horizon, it's not Gran Turismo, it's Need for Speed. Like I just want to race fast cars as fast as I can through a city while I'm having cops chase me. Like that's what I'm
Right.
getting from this game.
Right.
And it takes place over a month, I think. So like you're playing week one with like the worst cars available in the game, and then you're building up your funds and your
Oh, that's cool.
reputation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then by week one you know you're level hot 5 heat and you have cops surrounding you at all times. So you're like racing through the city, but you're at the same time you're ducking and diving through tunnels and like ravines and construction sites to hide from cops, while making sure they don't bust you, because once they bust you, your whatever you like, your whole bank is gone. So basically, if you get busted, you lose everything you earned that night and you go back to day one. So it's like it's
Mhm.
not worth getting busted, but like it's a good gameplay cycle. So during the day you do challenges, you do some easy races, and at night is when all the fun comes out, where it's like you go to these specific sites, you complete 3 or 4 different events, and then you go back to your garage for the next week to start. And I think it's like the most intimidating game because it's hard. It's actually a really hard game. It's like a Souls level hard game. I'm not even joking.
Really?
I've been on
Jeez.
45-minute car chases because these police will not let up.
What?
They
Oh my god.
there are points where there's 7 cops chasing you, and from all sides they will just attack you. They will shred your car to pieces, and you have no chance of surviving because
Oh man.
there's Corvettes, there's Camaros, and there's like a 4-wheel drive pickup truck that just blasts you across the country because it rams you and you go flying and your car just gets critical damage and you're done.
And that's it. And then that's like
That's it. You're
I
done.
guess the same as getting
But
caught.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then you have these moments of like brilliance where you're just like racing and you can like tap the brake and you just drift just enough to get away from them, and you can duck under like a cover to hide from them. And like there's helicopters following you, but if you get cover, like you're obviously safe. But like it's intimidating just going to deal with these cops because
Well,
I'm not gonna
well
say I ever raced when I was younger because I'm not gonna admit that here. But like it feels realistic.
is I guess it's there's stakes to all of these races. Like it really feels like what you're doing has stakes. It's not just let's go and see how crazy the crash could be. If I didn't win the race, well, at least I got a crazy crash and I can hit restart. Like you're really trying to survive and really trying to win the race at the same time, because
You have to in this
like you
game.
said, you just like everything gets busted. Like you're going back a couple of steps if you don't succeed.
You also have limited retries, so you have like 4 retries.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they really figured it out because like
Huh.
that was the one thing that made this game a little bit less, I don't know, definitive. I could just restart the match, but now it's just like I have 4 chances. So do I want to wait now or do I want to save it for a more important race?
Sounds
And
intense, but sounds
it's so
good
intense.
at
Like
the
it's
same
great. Like
time. Yeah.
it's so well thought out. Obviously, it's so corny. Like that's just Need for Speed's thing. But like
Yeah.
the cars themselves are incredible. Like I've been spending more time with one car than any other game in the series. Like
Mm.
I've literally built it from scratch. It's my car. I've
Oh,
put
that's very cool.
all this money into it. I posted on Twitter. You can see it's my Fair Lady 240, and it's just this beautiful matte black dropped pistol. Like it shoots so fast off the runway. Like it's so fast. It's incredible. The only thing I hate about this game is there's no photo mode. It's so bare bones. It's just they
Oh,
had
that would
this
be
perfect opportunity. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly right. Photo mode should be included in every game with a
Oh,
suite of tools.
car games are perfect for that. I mean, you are you are driving a showcase for what you're
Exactly.
busting your ass to get, right? Like
And there's
for
nothing
sure.
available. Like you have like
Mm,
3 settings, and that's it.
mm.
And it's like maybe they'll update it in the future, but like right now, it's just like I want to take pictures of my car. I can do that, but it's not fun. It's not like I can like spend
It's not
40
the same.
minutes getting the perfect shot. It's just like I can take a quick snap and go back to racing, and it's not intuitive at all. It's just it feels like a waste, like something they added in the last second because they knew somebody wanted it, and it just feels like it was like an afterthought. But
well, God of War added a photo mode, I think last week or this week. They could
last
do it with
week
this. Yeah, they could do it with this. You know,
they can,
came,
but this
you
one
know,
here they just need to add more. Like God of War didn't even have it, so like the
right,
thing is,
right.
we all finished the game. Now it's like we're all done with it. And like I just re-downloaded just to take photos. But I still haven't done
Right.
that. So it's like, it's just like you should have it from the beginning. I understand like it's a big process and all that, but like
Sure.
For sure.
every game this generation has had a photo mode. People want it, so just include it.
Yeah.
I know that's easier said than done, but like
Still,
that's
there's an
something
argument to have
that's
it in
really
there for
higher
sure.
priority for
Yeah.
me because like people want these
Yeah.
things. Like it's just put it into the whatever the mix.
And above all else, it's free marketing.
It's free marketing.
Mhm.
Like
Look at those
your
DP
photo mode
posts.
is the way to just be like, oh yeah, my game looks this pretty, and everyone's gonna show it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I tell you one thing. I turned on my PS5 and I was like, why is there this like, I don't know what it was, 4 gig update or something like that
Yeah.
for God of War? And I'm still playing. I'm still not finished yet, but I was like, oh man, now I gotta wait for this thing to download. Yeah, I know. I'm impatient. Took like 6 minutes, whatever. And then as I was doing, I'm scrolling through social media. I'm like, oh, there's a photo mode now. Sweet. What did I do? The first thing I did before I even continued my mission where I left off, I started snapping pictures of a couple of the settings I was in. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't love that stuff, but like you said, that was, it was fun. It was cool to do. It's fun to do, even if it's not being posted or whatever. It's just for you. Like,
sure.
Yeah. Easier said than done, like you said, Bobby, but at the same time, like, I think
Like,
something like a racing game, like when you are literally customizing your car like that, it's different. Like I think you
huge.
have investment in that vehicle. You have investment in your character is your car, right? So I feel like there's more care that you want to put
like,
into that. So I can
would
see
love
that
to
argument
showcase
even more so.
cars. Like I have some nice cars in my garage, and it's like they just sit there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
the models
unfortunate.
are gorgeous. That's the thing. Like these cars look
Mhm.
so good. It's like, why don't you want people to take pictures of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no
Well, maybe
filters,
maybe
there's
it'll be on its
nothing.
way. Yeah.
Hopefully,
Maybe
because like,
they'll add
honestly,
it.
the game
It'd be
is
nice.
good. It's selling well for even without a marketing because there's no marketing this first game.
There's like no market. Yeah.
But
There's
it's doing
absolutely
well,
nothing.
and I hope they like EA sees that, and I hope Criterion gets to make another one because like they have something that Forza doesn't have, and it's just this like this. They nail the arcade aspect of it. Like it's
Nice.
Forza Horizon is incredible. Like don't get me wrong, but like Need for Speed has just this very specific thing, and they do it so well. And I can't ever see Forza replicating just because it's Need for Speed's niche. It's in their blood. They have this very great thing where they can put a city together and they can put cops in there and they can let you play around with like cops and robbers. It's cool.
Well, I think that's also, you know, the differentiating factor there is that Need for Speed is like a street racer, while Forza is just open world. Like a lot of it is more of like the open fields and vistas and Horizon and everything.
Yeah.
Need for Speed is about being in that city and like, you know, whipping around a corner and going through like, you know, tunnels and all that.
It's interesting. It's because Criterion's Burnout, right? If I'm not mistaken, they're the So, you know, they have lots of experience bringing that to life, and this is just their next step in making that happen.
And it feels like the next evolution of Burnout. Like it is a Burnout game in everything but name. But yeah,
Sweet.
it just it feels like it just needs the support of the studios that are developing it, and they just need the word of mouth because like I hope it continues. It's just such a great niche, you know, franchise. Like it's not Forza took their bread, but now they still have like their slice they can eat because they deserve it. Like they're good. It's a good brand. It's a good studio. I mean, they need to just iterate now, just make it better.
And what else you got, Bobby? What's the other game on your list here?
The other one is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and
cool.
I know Steve is starting it soon, and I've finished it twice now, and it is one of the best Final Fantasy sequels I've ever played.
How long is it?
if you do everything like 40 hours, critical path like 20. I mean, the thing is with this game is you have to do the side stuff because it ties directly into earning more materia, earning better weapons,
That's
earning
fine.
more. But yeah, you basically have to. They build. You're a soldier, like you're this elite, weapon, and you have to take these jobs on to earn money, earn
Gotcha.
materia, and just upgrade your stuff. But like it is all 100% a game from 2007, whatever it was, whenever it launched. Like it is just playing it. It feels like it is a PSP game. Like you can see, like the game is broken up into such small little chunks that it feels like it's just blown up onto a big screen now. So you like go into one area. There's like 3 enemies. You fight them. You load into another area. Do it, rinse and repeat every single time.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
And then the side missions are literally you accept the mission, appear in a cave, fight 3 enemies, grab 2 treasure chests, fight the little mini boss, and go back. And it's like 3 minutes. They're so short. They're incredible. Like you earn some really great rewards. But like generally, basically, what I'm saying is you have to play this game because it is crucial to Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're clearly taking what they had from 2007 and putting it here because there was a cliffhanger at Final Fantasy VII Remake, the ending, that ties directly into this character. And Zack Fair is a very important character, even if he didn't have a big part in the original Final Fantasy VII.
Sure.
And now everyone's going to experience why he's so important because he's such a lovable goof. He is such a good-hearted person. It's cool to see this character again, but like knowing what what happens to him, it is a depressing story. The way it ends is very disappointing. But like, I mean, that's one of the best things. That's why this game is so loved. It's got everything. It's got drama. It's got comedy. It's got action, and it's just a Weibo game.
Sure. I mean, speak for myself. Aside from the fact that I know it's like critically praised and everything, I've heard all the great things about the story and how integral it ties into the original game. For me, someone who loved Seven Remake so much and have fully committed to the idea of like playing through the story and actually experiencing it for the first time. That's why I'm here for Reunion. Is that I want to not only experience the story that is so. Oh, I'm down with ham. I love a good ham.
You'll see, like there's some very cringe dialogue. It's just like, oh my god, who wrote this? Who got the approval to write this? Because it is night and day. It is so different from the writing that we have today.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel natural. The writing's not as natural. It doesn't feel like things people would say. And talking about honor and being a hero, and just like who talks like that, but like it fits into the narrative. It fits into this character because it's just like his whole dream was to be a beloved hero, and that's his whole thing. But like Zack Fair is a cool character. I mean, he's got very close ties with the Cloud and Sephiroth, so it's like it's cool to see him get his moment in the spotlight again.
Right.
But I have one little gripe with this game, and it's obviously no one's fault, but the voice actor for Zack is not the best. I mean, he's hard to compare to the original Zack Fair from 2007. Rick Gomez, who's been in a bunch of Final Fantasy games, like he took this character and ran with it. And he's like the peak performance. Like he is Zack to his core. Just his night and day. It's like a 9-day difference. Like it, and once like he has like this mature gravitas behind him. Like he just like the way he talks might be goofy and stupid and silly, but like clearly he comes from a good place. And then you hear this new take, and he sounds like a doofus, and it brings the experience down. But like, it's obviously not the voice actor's fault. I just think he was miscast. But other than that, the entire cast is amazing. Other than that, like that's my one thing. They recast and the entire roster of characters, but like they stick out on me. Like they're amazing. Like Sephiroth's a lot more nuanced now. Like he's intimidating. I don't know if you guys have a lot of history with Sephiroth's character, but he is very, very intimidating when he gets pissed off.
Okay. Dope. I'm
and
excited
this
to see
is
that.
yeah. And then Crisis Core basically just like it dives into like what happened to him. Like it shows you a different side of Sephiroth. I mean, you only know him from Remake, and that's only one side of him. But seeing him in the original OG FF7, then Advent Children, and then seeing him here, it kind of, you see his arc, where he was, where he is, and what happened to him after, and it's cool to see him socializing, being a normal person, because it's not the side you see of him normal. Normally, he's just on a mission to kill everything and destroy the world, and this is more like a lighthearted take on Sephiroth, where he's just all business. He's a soldier.
Yep.
And yeah, it's great game all around. It's definitely recommended. I mean, if you've never played Final Fantasy 7, play that first, but then come here.
That's me. You guys convinced me that 7 remake should be on the list, and it's like I need to narrow down.
It's a great game. It is a great game. Like, honestly, what they did, like, and the thing is, I've told everybody, it's not a remake. It's a sequel. No. It is a sequel to Final Fantasy 7. There is a reason why I say that, and it I think what they're doing is they're correcting the issues, or I didn't say the issues, the wrongs they made in the first game, and people are torn about it. Like, I like what they're doing, but I've seen people say it's ruining the legacy of the game. But who cares about that? Because you know what, it's still there. You can go play it whenever you want.
That's right. Yeah.
Now you can play a game that the original creators have approved, and they're working on it, and Square Enix obviously agrees with what they're doing. So let's see what they do with it, because if you don't like it, you can go play your OG FF7 wherever you want it now.
Well, between remake and Crisis Core, I mean, like, it seems like it's largely, both of them have been praised. So I don't see, I know Crisis Core is sort of a remake of sorts, right? But, like, 7 remake is everything I see about it is positive. I don't, there's always going to be some people that don't enjoy, but, like, I'm convinced that I need to play these games, and I just don't know which thing I'm going to narrow down to. So I'm going to look for, I'm going to look for 7 remake. I'm sure it's going to be on sale somewhere over the holidays, and it's probably going to be one of the things that because I need to give more time to the Final Fantasy in general, and I think I'm convinced, guys. I'm convinced.
It's a good story. Like, honestly, I got in at the ground floor when it came out. I'm like, it's going to be hard to replicate that experience, but, like, you're going to get your own version of that.
It's been so long since I've played the original that it won't matter to me. Like, it's not going to make, I'm not going to compare it. I'm not going to care if it feels different, whatever. I just want to play a good game and that with a good story, and that's it. So
the developers did a great job, even with remake, like, even just remake. Yeah. Like, they bridged the gap in such a beautiful way. Like, I know people, like I said, they don't like it, but I fell in love with what they did. Like, they clearly started trying to tell the same story, but when they took that new direction, it was like, that's brilliant. Like, they really know what they're doing with it. So clearly, this whole project, like I said, this wouldn't have happened if Square Enix didn't believe in the whole vision. So whatever they're doing, I'm all for it. Final Fantasy 16 is coming out in June, so clearly Square Enix, they're on a good trajectory in general. The last year and a half, they've put out so many good games.
Yeah.
Especially this year. This year, they've dropped a new game pretty much every month this year. At least 1 or 2 games. And it's like, that wild. Tells me. Yeah, it's
crazy,
wild.
Man.
And they're all good games. Yeah. We've had maybe one stinker, and, like, who cares? That's pretty good. 12 out of 14 is still pretty good.
It's a pretty damn good batting average, that's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and it's just, if you're listening, go play this game. Just pick it up wherever you want. I know people say on Switch is pretty good. I mean, it's 30 frames on there, but if you have a Steam Deck, play it on Steam Deck. You'll get the original experience with better graphics.
All right.
Cool.
Okay. So
how about
I'm
Dave?
going to. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what my next sort of, like, Game Pass, gonna give this game a shot time is, and this week was I had this game pre-installed because I think High on Life was I think it was announced during Summer Games Fest. I think that's what it was. I think it was in, like, a big highlight reel or something, or was it
the Xbox show?
I don't know.
It was the Xbox show.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That makes sense because it was Game Pass. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, Rick and Morty. Oh, it's the writers of Rick and Morty, or at least one of the creators of Rick and Morty is
Justin
in this.
Roiland.
He's going to help write it. Yeah, Roiland, that's it. And he's a one of the main voice actors in this too, which is great because he's always funny and awesome. And it's a shooter, and it looks like it's kind of colorful and goofy, and the first thing I thought of when I first saw it was it reminded me of geez, oh my god, now I'm gonna forget Journey to the Savage Planet, I think it
Oh
was
yeah,
called,
yeah.
from a couple of years ago, which was one of the first games that I installed and played when I got my Xbox Series S and my Game Pass, because
Okay.
I just always had it on my radar and I just never pulled the trigger. And it was like, oh, this is a perfect game that's not super long. I'm just gonna try this. It has a very similar like the worlds kind of look similar. Some are colorful, some are a little darker, kind of
Okay.
has traversal, but also gunplay and stuff. Anyways, High on Life is not that game because the tone of it
Mm,
is super adult swim, Rick and Morty type style. Like there is profanity left and right about butts and dicks and poop and like it's just F words, F bombs everywhere. Like it's just I'm gonna play a clip here. I'm gonna insert a clip here when I edit this
please
episode to
do.
just give you a taste of it.
Hey, oh my god, I broke my fucking leg coming down that pipe. Be careful.
Sorry to hear that.
Hey, you can't pass through here. It's 9 towards turn.
Jesus, enough with.
Hey, what are you doing? What the fuck? Holy shit, you just killed Jason. Jason's dead.
Oh shit, here we go. Fuck yeah! Oh, fuck yeah! You seeing this shit? You see how cool this is? How do you feel, Bounty Hunter? I feel pretty good. I really didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off.
All right, it's time.
Time for what?
Time to carve out a piece of her. I'm thinking we go with a full slab of thigh meat, but since it's your first, I'll let you.
Oh god, I can't look. I can't.
Oh, fucking hell, she's a gusher.
Couldn't you have just taken like a fingernail, some spit, maybe a blood sample?
Yeah, sure, could have, I guess.
And if any kids listen to this, like just put the earmuffs on because it is bad.
Yeah.
Like it's so. I preface all that by saying the gameplay, but because the gameplay is fun and I think it's unique and does some pretty fun stuff and it's kind of goofy and everything. But I just feel like the presentation of and the writing is just a little too much. It's grating after a while.
I was gonna ask you that exact question.
Yeah, that's the issue with it. Like most of the time, you know, they're going for comedy, right?
Right.
This is just straight up a comedy game with wacky scenarios, wacky action, wacky weapons that talk to you, and they are the primary story beats. Is really just they're the ones sort of filling the exposition. You know, you have some other people that you run into and everything, but the guns are talking to you during quote unquote cutscenes and even while you're fighting. At times that's totally fine, but when you have moments where there's a lot of story stuff being given to you and big conversations happening, you're a silent protagonist, so everyone else is talking around you and to you, and those moments just last too long. You know, I'm sitting there for 10 minutes and I'm like, well, I should just pop on a Rick and Morty episode if I really want to watch this kind of writing and talking. And some of the voice acting, like all the voice acting is very well done, but it's just so over the top and it lasts for so long, some of these conversations, that I'm honestly exhausted sometimes when I'm watching and listening to these. And you know, this is roughly a 15-ish hour game, so it's not short. So there's a decent amount of those moments, and I just wish those were shorter and I got to more of the gameplay, because the gameplay is actually really fun. Basically, you have one of 5 weapons. 4 of them are guns. One of them is like a melee weapon. It's a knife, essentially.
Yeah.
They all have names. They all talk to you. They all have their own personality. They're all very well acted. JB Smoove is one of them, and he's like he's a shotgun.
Yeah. Nice.
He's a shotgun, but you can also like his secondary. They basically all have 3 abilities. One of them is just a pistol, a shotgun, a grenade launcher, and essentially a needler from Halo. That's sort of like the other one, which is kind of cool. It works in a really interesting way too. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. But like, you know, Gus, who is JB Smooth's character, I guess, you can suck enemies in closer to you with the left trigger and then shoot them with the shotgun with the right trigger. And it's kind of a different way of sort of interacting with that. And then his other ability, he shoots like these discs that bounce off enemies. And if the disc ever comes towards you, you can melee it and fire it back at them. It's sort of like you're throwing it almost. So it kind of bounces around the level, and you can do this kind of fun stuff with it. There's a zip line, there's things you can climb, there's jetpacks, there's sliding, you know, all those types of things that some of these types of games have had, but it does it in a fun, goofy, and entertaining way. I just wish there was some of those fights were longer, and I just wish there was less of the stuff in between.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting. It's still a lot of fun. I still definitely enjoy it and recommend it, especially if that kind of comedy is your thing. Like if you want to enjoy that kind of comedy, if that's your thing, then you're going to get more out of this game than I will.
Sure.
But I do think that I'm playing this for the gameplay. I'm not playing this for the rest of it.
Right.
I'm
I mean,
almost done, I think, but
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I love Justin Roiland. I love everything his studio does, Squanch Games, in the past and everything. But immediately when I saw this trailer at the Xbox showcase earlier this year, my initial feeling was this gun is going to talk way too fucking much to me, and
Yeah.
and no matter how long this game is, it's going to get grating, because you talk about the comedy aspects, and I do believe, like, just even based off the clips that have started going viral of this game, because I think there are genuinely like hilarious moments.
There definitely are. Yeah, there definitely are funny moments. There definitely are funny characters,
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like that comedy can also, like, it's the shotgun effect, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to throw everything at the player, and then maybe 3 lines out of 5 minutes will hit them really good, but the other ones will kind of just fall flat. Immediately,
Mhm.
to one of the funniest games to me are South Park, the Stick of Truth, and South Park Fractured
Yeah.
Butthole, because both of them are, in my opinion, masterclass of balancing the gameplay with the comedy, because the comedy
Mhm.
doesn't always come from the kids, Stan, Kyle, and all them, like, swearing and making, dick and fart jokes. It comes from the items. It comes from just the pure absurdity that goes on in the world. Here again, I haven't played High on Life. I have it installed, and I can't wait to actually play it myself, to be honest. But it does kind of feel like that overwhelming, where we have to just throw as much comedy and humor at the player without it, being a little more like elevated in a sense. So
Yeah. That's
it's
what
a
it feels like
little it's a
sometimes.
little
Yeah, like
unfortunate.
yeah, like for example, it's little things like I mean, it's good. It's well written and definitely well acted. Like pretty much every single character is voice acted regardless of who does it.
Sure.
And even if it's just an NPC that you walk by, they have a different voice. They say something funny and you sort of move on. Like it could just be something way in the background. It's all really well done, and it's all
Yeah.
like really a lot of care is put into that, which is awesome. But like, it's little things like one of the place where you buy upgrades or some items and stuff is just a pawn shop, right? Whatever, that's fine. There's sort of, and they have like all these random items in there that have all these descriptions that you can choose to spend like a couple bucks on, as opposed to a couple thousand, which would be like
Okay.
an item that would help you. And anyways, and they're all very funny and well written and everything like that. But you walk into the store and the guy that owns it is just like, hey, what the fuck do you want? All right, fucking this, shit, and there, and it's just okay, that's funny the first time, but then when I have to
Yeah.
go back between every single mission to do that, and it's
Oh,
essentially the same thing, just
yeah.
said in a different, with a different sentence, I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. The guy's an asshole that is on a floating chair that has no arms and legs, and he's a goofy looking alien that's angry. I understand, right?
Like
But
from Trover.
yeah, it's
For sure. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
like a Trover.
so
Is it better than Trover?
what's that?
Did you say it's better than Trover? Trover Saves the Universe. I think that's what it was called.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You're
Um,
right. Yep.
yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
I
I
love
would
that
say
game. I
so.
thought it was so funny.
So did I.
It's there's moments that are really funny, and then there's like for me personally, it just
Yeah.
grated after a while. I think
Yeah.
some of it just overstays its welcome, but at least when you are doing the gameplay, when you are fighting all these aliens, it's fun. So it is worth it, even if the comedy and the writing isn't working for you. And it did for me for the most part. It's just after like once I hit like hour 8, I was like, okay, I get it. Right. And I
Y-
just sort of
You know what
didn't
it
pay
kind of
as much
reminds
attention
me
to it.
of, or like, I don't want to be like presumptuous with it, but like I feel like the target audience for this is like probably like, like, not the Rick and Morty crowd, but around that like age demographic where they've never played a video game that swears at them, where they're like,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
shit, like this is so adult. I'm
Yeah.
so into it, but I guess because like we're all in our like 30s and have experienced games like that
I
before, we're like,
guess. Yeah.
yeah, I don't need
It's
to be sworn at
yeah.
every
So
5 minutes.
there's one thing where it could definitely be that, like that could just be part of it.
Yeah.
And there are funny conversations that you get into that are sort of like, you chuckle through and you sort of move on, and it sets you up for the next mission. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's kind of fun. The only thing is too, like when you mentioned before that the guns might talk too much to you, the weapons might talk too much to you. About, I want to say about an hour and a half in, they give you this option in the settings that you can turn down how much the weapons talk to you.
Oh, so
The
they
frequency.
know.
So they
They're in
know.
on it.
Yeah, which I did. There's like a never, a sometimes, and a normal, like, which is
Huh.
what they originally intended or whatever. So I did the middle setting, and that helps, but I don't think it's the guns that are the issue that is grating on me. It's everything in between. And
Gotcha.
all the guns are really fun. And what's fun about the weapons, the knife and the guns, is that like commenting on stuff that you're doing. Right. So it's like you switch to your weapon and the guy's like, hey, I'm back. All right, let's fuck shit up. And then they, and it's fun. Like, I like it. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of hyped up that JB Smoove came in and wants to be my effective weapon at the moment and stuff. So all that stuff's kind of cool. I'm writing in my review right now that I came for the comedy, which is tough to do in video games. Came for the comedy and the writing, and I'm staying for the gameplay. Like, that's essentially what it comes down to for me. So I do think it's worth people's time, especially if this is your kind of writing and comedy. I think it's worthwhile. So I won't go any longer on it. I'll just say, give it a shot, give it a couple hours, I think, before you sort of really, because it takes some time to get some of the weapons and unlockables and abilities. So I would say you got to give it a 2-3 hours to kind of really get a taste for what they're trying to do, because you can really like literally juggle enemies in the air and flip between your weapons super quickly, and that's where it really starts gelling and feeling better. But that takes a few hours to get the different types of weapons in order to have that variety. It works when it does. It just takes a couple hours to get there. So High on Life. Look for the review very soon, sometime this week. And I'm going to try and put a couple clips of gameplay up on our YouTube channel, and I'll put a couple clips of the profanity in this episode as well.
Amazing.
All right, Bobby, you and I both sat down together in a very long podcast episode and YouTube video from start to finish, from Al Pacino to a random kid on stage of the Game Awards last week. And there's lots of stuff that was talked about in there. Yeah, it is a long show, and we had a lot to be excited for, because we talked about it as we went. Steve, I'm gonna go to you first.
Sure.
What are like maybe 2 or 3 things that got you the most excited, whether it was an award or an announcement?
I guess covering both of those things, I think in terms of just the awards themselves, I do like the improved balance that Jeff Keighley came in with the award show this year. I do feel like there were enough moments where awards were given and people were able to like actually go on stage. I mean, yes, Al Pacino and Christopher Judge went a little too long in hilarious fashion. But that being said, I do feel like, whether it was As Dusk Falls that won, or the, at the end, although it was a little messy, but From Software getting their chance to speak on stage and everything, I feel like Jeff did actually and has actually tried to hone in and figure out what the right balance is of awards versus announcements and ads and stuff like that. So
it's a tough job, tough to do.
Absolutely. I don't envy him whatsoever for having to put this together, but I think that this year was a very solid one. So kudos to him for actually, giving some of these awards sometimes. Now, in terms of the announcements, I thought they were a little bit kind of all over the place, where there were some like really hype ones, especially at the front end and maybe like all the way into like the first half, and then it kind of meandered a bit until like the very end, and we got some like decent ones as well. But I mean, Death Stranding 2, we all kind of had the the assumption that Kojima was going to be there, whether it was going to be Overdose, the leaked horror game, or like some sort of follow up to Death Stranding. I love the fact that it's Death Stranding 2. The trailer didn't make any sense to me. I have no idea what is happening in there.
Do his trailers ever make much sense?
No,
God, no.
Until you get into the game, I will say that when I got into Death Stranding, I started experiencing the game. I was like, oh, okay, these trailers all make sense now. But like in the moment, no, not at all. But that being said, I am way excited, like so excited to go back to this universe. I think it's super weird, super creative. I love the fact that Kojima now actually has not only the the support to make this universe, but continue it with these characters, with these actually established actors and actresses and everything. And yeah, I'm down to get weird with Kojima again in Death Stranding. So that one right there was my get hype moment. For sure.
And Bobby, you were pretty excited. I think in the moment you were like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." We are sort of, I think we were both trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and we were sort of reacting to the scene. You know, she falls off the super unicycle or whatever that thing was.
Love it.
With the child, it's it's weird, but then the kid falls. It's like, oh, this is crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
But Bobby, you were excited about this, and I know for sure Final Fantasy was at least one of them for you as well, right?
Yeah, there was a couple games. There was, what was it? Banisher.
Oh, the Banished, is that what it was?
Banishing, the New Eden. That game. Let me find the name. I have to find the
That
name.
looked
'cause
cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna
looked really
bring up
cool.
a list.
That was a fantastic cinematic because you weren't quite sure what it was. It was,
I'm trying to pull.
I guess the husband.
Banishers, Ghost of New Eden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
that
know.
was
I had no.
that was a great trailer.
expectations going in, and
Yeah.
it looked so cool. Like it was really cool. Like the
Yeah.
plot twist where she's a ghost. Like that was cool.
Yeah, yeah, it
But-
was very well constructed. Yeah,
But yeah, it just there was a lot of just. I wish there was more gameplay in all these trailers. Like we just got these little like announcements, but like nothing cool like that really stuck out. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 was the only one that was all gameplay. It was like 50, like even 75-25 split, where it looks incredible for a game that's
Yeah.
coming out in like 6 months, 8 months, and I don't know. There's a lot of
Hades
games.
2, man. Hades 2 is all I needed.
Hades
Like
2
I
looks
said,
great, but
I think,
the
like I
thing is,
said,
though,
yeah, like I said when we were recording, I'm like, this is it. They can end it here. Show me who won the awards. I don't care what else they announce. All I need is more Hades. I'm all for it.
And I think that announcement specifically would have benefited so much for being in the latter half of the award show.
yeah.
Right.
Because I did think that the 1-2 punch of having Hades open up the show was strong enough, but then you have the announcement of Judas right after it, which for me, being a big BioShock fan,
Yeah.
I popped off on both of those, and then I was like, okay, now we're setting the precedent so high that when it started, going down a little bit and tempering, I was like, okay, we just had like 2 back-to-back banger announcements. And now we're on Destiny 2 Lightfall, which I'm excited for, but we already know about it. And, we're getting like update, another look at this game. Kojima, hooray. But then it kind of goes back down again. I was like, oh, okay, maybe Hades should have been like near the back and like maybe up against, Final Fantasy 16. Because we already knew about that game.
No, you can't put those two together because Hades would have been perfect for like an interlude, just something in the middle to break up.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, that's the
agree.
thing.
Final
You're
Fantasy
trying-
15 is the biggest game that was announced there. We have to admit it.
I think
Death
so.
Stranding
I
all
think
that
it
is there,
was.
but like it's Final
Yeah.
Fantasy. There's a reason
Yeah.
why that was the last announcement. It is so popular.
Yeah, even if we knew it was coming, I mean, it's a new Final Fantasy game. It's
It's huge.
just
That's a huge thing in itself because
it's
I mean,
huge. Just that on its own. It could be the next whatever the next 7 one was. Either way, that would have been massive. Like it doesn't matter which one has Final Fantasy in the title. That is huge.
The only thing I didn't like was like that. There's all these like that Judas trill. I just it's BioShock in space, and I've already discussed this with so many people. He literally left his studio to make the same game.
It just looks very, very similar. Yeah,
it is. It's not even that it is similar. It's the same game.
Yeah.
It's literally just displaced universe. The whole gimmick of BioShock is there's always a lighthouse and there's always a city. So like literally, it looks like we're getting the exact same thing. That's why I was disappointed. I am a BioShock fan. That's the worst part about it. It's just I love BioShock. I love BioShock 1. 2, I can go either way, but Infinite, I love that world. Like they did such a good job with that world. But then he fell off the face of the planet for 7 years. I mean, he's been working on this game for like 8 years at this point, and we've got nothing but a trailer. And then you have Cloud Chamber working on a brand new BioShock, which I would have loved to see. Like they should have put
Right.
BioShock there. And then whatever Ken Levine's working on, maybe like at a Summer Game Fest or like something else, like the Game Awards. Like, no, sorry, that's not a Game Awards game to me. I'm excited because I love BioShock. It's just I'm just
because of who's making it, right? Who the main guy is that's involved is why I think it's exciting, even if it does have similar feel and gameplay and world idea or whatever. I think it's just because who's behind it. I think that's what the hype was. I think that's what the announcement was,
absolutely.
hey, this is what he's been working on. But
yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's evident in the fact that when anyone kind of talks about BioShock, it's always Ken Levine's BioShocks that get the praise, right? With the exception of the BioShock 2's DLC. I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's a reason why BioShock 2 is kind of like the bastard son because of Levine's involvement. He wasn't on it. So and that's the thing I think that worries me most about BioShock 4 is that it's a BioShock game, but without like the heart and soul. It's just going to be BioShock 2.1, until we see more. Like they can come out swinging, I don't know, but Judas, knowing that it's Ken Levine, he's coming back, he's doing the BioShock treatment, that has me excited. Like it doesn't matter to me that much that he skipped town on this previous his previous studio, because we don't know because to me, I don't know who else he has at the studio and everything, like what kind of rapport he has with who he's working with. So maybe they can come out swinging with something that's genuinely, in line with what BioShock was, but innovative in different ways. Maybe it's the story or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that was Jeff's sort of, intro, was that like there's something, great going on here. It's Levine. It's all like that. I understand he's trying to hype it up as well. That's part of his job as being the host. That's totally fine. But I trust what he's saying. I think he's right.
I trust him way more because of how much emotion was behind it. It wasn't just him hyping it up, but like you could tell he was like visibly like almost getting like choked up over the fact that he had this announcement. I was like, holy shit, like this is something for him.
But he didn't shed a tear like he did for Armored Core, so I don't know.
No.
So which one is it?
I would like to be proven wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if it's
sure,
game, but like, it's just like I don't like. I called him a one-trick pony, and I feel like that's what he's doing.
I mean, it's possible, but the gameplay.
This would be the third time in a row now. If it is what it is, you had BioShock, you had BioShock Infinite, and then you have Judas. And it's just like, why don't you just let him make BioShock then? And then
right, just give him the name, man.
Yeah.
But like, don't get me wrong. I would like I said, I want to be proven wrong. I hope the new BioShock is as good as it is, because they hired the narrative director of Ghost of Tsushima, which is a big thing. So
which is awesome.
And they have the writer Mel Cordy. She worked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so they have a good team. So I have faith in them. It's just like,
let's see what
I
it
want to
is.
see BioShock. Where is BioShock?
I hope both games are great.
Same thing.
Exactly. I want to see them come out within 2 months of each other and just butt heads. Like, I just want to see that. I mean, that's terrible. I want them to do well and them to succeed, but you know what I mean? Be interesting.
Yeah. No, there was some great announcements on
for me as well, on top of Hades. I don't know if I just really like spending time in hell, but Diablo 4 is
that was a great.
I mean, like, we know it's coming, now we have more of a solid idea of when exactly, or at least another idea of when. The presentation was big. They had a musical number before it. The trailer, I think, like we said when we were watching it, Bobby, like Blizzard, and it just always has the most incredible trailers. Even if you have no idea who the characters are, what the hell's going on necessarily, this isn't a Kojima trailer, so you kind of have an idea. It's light against dark sort of thing, but it's just, they look so good. They're so dynamic, and we've seen gameplay, I think roughly a year ago, maybe it was 8 months ago or something. So like, maybe it's changed a little bit since then. So I didn't necessarily need to see gameplay. It would have been nice to see if anything was different, but also it's Diablo, it's top down, it's RPG. We know it has some verticality to it now. You're going to have the classes, like all this kind of stuff. I just want this game so badly, because I just love this series so much. So the fact that we got a little bit more from it, we got a great cinematic, and we have a more solid date right now. I'm all for it. This will be the game of the summer if it hits its release date for me. Likely all I play between June and September.
I'm right there with you. I think that, like, speaking to the trailer's placement and everything, I think it complemented really well with the early impressions and previews that just came out, which all sound great, by the way. Like everything that I'm hearing about this game is just up my goddamn alley. The trailer looked great. Tyrael coming down from the skies and everything and just kicking ass. Oh, I loved it. I think it's really interesting and almost kind of scary that we're getting this game in June and then Baldur's Gate 3 a month or two right after that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
scary.
it's
That's a lot.
Baldur's Gate is slated for August at the moment. So I mean, two
Mm.
massive games. I don't have a ton of experience with Baldur's Gate, but this looks awesome. I'm not a huge D&D person, but regardless, like
You don't
it's
need
just
to be though. It's
you don't
just,
need to be.
you
Yeah,
really don't
that's the
need
whole
to.
point of it, right?
Yeah,
The
it's
whole
like
point
the
is that they're making D&D
D&D.
accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's great. I mean, it's got a good team behind it. It looks freaking great. It was a good trailer too as well. So there's lots in 2023. I think, yeah, for me, it's spending time in hell in 2023 in digital hell with Diablo 4 and Hades 2. We'll see if it actually gets a release. I'm sure it'll actually quote unquote be released in 2024, but that's fine. I played the first one in beta. I'm gonna do the same with this. I'm a sucker for anything that Supergiant does, so that's top of my list. No matter what comes along, it's going to be top of my list. That's it. I think I said last week under my breath a little bit. It's if it's not my favorite game of all time, it's a top 3 or 5 Hades. Like I
Wow.
just absolutely love it. Yeah.
It's good.
So
I
it's
like
really hard for me to not have that up there as my big hype moment. So yeah, I think that's what there was a few announcements that can get us excited for the year, but I think those are the heavy hitters as well, at least as
I
far as
agree.
what was shown at the
Yeah.
Game Awards. And yeah, and I agree. I think the show was good. It was a little long. I think
Yeah,
Bobby,
it
you and I were both
overstayed
saying
its
like, oh
welcome.
man, our eyes are burning just like looking at the screen for
It was too
almost
much.
3 hours straight.
Because he was like, it's shorter this year, but it was not short. It was
No, it
literally
wasn't.
the exact same length as it was last year, and it's like, come on,
Yeah.
guys.
I do wish that there was, I think Steve, you're right. I think there's a little bit of I mean, it's hard to get that balance. I think like we said off the top, but I do wish that some of the awards were given a little bit more of a chance.
Sure.
And there was a couple less trailers and a couple less announcements. I understand
Yeah.
that's where the money is. I understand
Mhm.
that that's just what you have to do.
It's just what paints
And
the
it's
real-
still fun. Look at us just talking about this for the last 20 minutes. Like,
Of
sure.
course.
But I wish some of like the indie games and things like that were given a little bit more time. I think that's my only disappointment with it. So
I agree. I think that like indie game of the year definitely should be something that is celebrated on
Yeah.
stage. Bring those developers up there. I think that's a very spoiled opportunity. And one big criticism that I had of it, and I was super disappointed to see it this year, was the treatment of esports.
Oh yeah.
Was the fact that okay. I understand that it's not for everyone. It's a very niche category within the video game industry. I'm okay with it being relegated to the pre-show and everything. But
Mhm.
the fact that they didn't even take the time to read through the nominations, they were like, here they are, and the winner is on to the next one. And I tweeted out, I was like, cool, there's your 30 seconds of esports. See you next year. Like, if you're gonna have the categories, at least give them the respect to read them all out. Like, go one by one, even if it's gonna be relegated to the 30-minute pre-show that no one's really gonna watch because the main show starts at 8 o'clock. I understand that. That's fine. Then don't have esports coach of the year. If it really means that much to you that you can't even read out the names of the people, don't have it, because in my
yeah, I
opinion, that's
think
a huge disrespectful like moment.
yeah, of course. Regardless of if it was esports or something else, like everyone deserves at least that extra time. You know, everyone's put their life into this. This is, you know, their life. This is their passion. This is why they're here. They're excited. Their family is excited. Their studio is excited. Their team, all of this stuff. Like, it's just give them that. Like, that's why we're here.
Yep.
But at the same time,
Yep.
it's not on NBC. It's not selling commercial time. There needs to be some sort of in between. Those trailers are what make this happen. So I kind of get it. And we also don't, as we just said, we don't want this thing to be 4.5 hours either. So
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know what the ultimate solution is. I just I don't know if it's narrowing down certain categories. I don't know if it's splitting it up into a couple of days. You know, day one is a mix of this. Day 2 is a mix of that. I don't know. I don't know if it's too much. I don't know. It's hard to say.
The good thing
don't
is,
have all the
though, we
answers.
don't have to
We don't
play
have
this.
to.
Exactly. We don't have to do any of it. We can just
We just have to
critique
do
it as
this.
it is. Yeah, exactly. We get to complain or praise it. Yeah, exactly. We don't have to come up with solutions.
Our paycheck doesn't change no matter what. So,
No.
We're not even included, so I don't really care.
right. So there's
So
the
true. Jeff Keighley doesn't really care about Canadians, so
yeah. He said something about home
It's from
country
my
something at
homeland,
one point, but
Canada,
that's it.
Nope. We got
No,
CBC
not really.
voting. CBC voting for video games, which makes no sense. But
That primary video game source.
I don't get it. Whatever. I mean, good kudos to everybody. It's no shade. It's just
no.
it's a head scratcher for all of us. I know we're
Sure,
all
that's fair. Yeah, I think so.
So,
All right, guys. Let's move on to our game of the year discussion for our next episode or two. That
Love it.
is what's going to happen. Keep your eyes on Console Creatures. Keep your ears on the podcast feed. We are going to narrow down our choices, talk about our personal favorites, and also sort of pick what our top ones will be for the website as well. Until that time, Steve, where's everyone finding your good stuff out there?
Yeah, just find me across the internet at Asfikvari.
And Bobby, Console Creatures, where they're finding all our good stuff out there, right?
consolecreatures.com, Instagram, Spotify. We're on everything now.
We're all over
Even
there.
Hive. Even Hive, whenever it decides to come back, because I know
Yeah.
everyone's asking, where's Hive? We
Isn't
need
it back
Hive.
open? It's back open.
Nope, it's still down. Well, it was down till this. I know this like afternoon. I was looking. It was down. It was still like.
It has
Oh,
been
it is-
very, very spotty for me, at least,
Oh,
since
yeah.
it
Well,
initially
like,
went
up for
down.
me.
I know they're
That's-
pushing out an
last
update
week.
today for sure. They said they're pushing new server update today. So who knows? But like,
Okay.
we're on there. We're gonna try and focus on more Hive in the future once they give account switching, because I think that's the one thing I know we all want is account switching.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
little feature and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Console Creatures were out there, and keep an eye on our Game of the Year stuff. We will talk to everybody next time. Bye.